Joining us for more on that, Power the Future founder and executive director Daniel Turner, Independent Women's Forum Center for Energy and Conservation director Gabriella Hoffman, and Fox Business contributor Phil Flynn. It is great to see you all. I'm going to just go straight down the line and not play favorites here, but this is all about affordability and pricing. The administration, Daniel, has done a lot to push gas prices and electricity prices down, but there is this push-pull with blue states that don't want to see that happen. How can they make sure that their strategy, is applied across the board?
Yeah, I think when you look at some of the executive orders the president's taken on emergencies, he declared an energy emergency on the first day, and I wish he would use that authority to have blue state Democrats accept his energy decisions. For example, pipelines coming from Pennsylvania across Massachusetts up to Maine. The secretary was just saying how in this last storm they were burning garbage and wood and oil because they can't get natural gas pipelines. I don't love a big, strong, powerful federal government, so it sounds like I'm contradicting myself, but I love energy and I love people's dignity. And if the president has to go into these states and say, we are going to deliver cheap energy for your people, I don't care about whether or not you have this green agenda. He has to do that for the people, especially of New England.
Okay. And Gabriella, we're looking at a time where energy demand has never been higher, especially with AI emerging on the scene and having its own needs. You've got crypto needs and just general growth in general. We're expecting to see high numbers there. So you look at this diversification that the president is focusing on, clean coal, nuclear, more natural gas, and drill, baby, drill. All these components coming together to be able to literally fuel America's future.
Indeed, and you need reliable, abundant, secure, dispatchable power, not part-time energy sources, because the part-time energy sources have invited this energy insecurity that states like in the New England region are experiencing. And we just commissioned a poll recently asking women in New England how they feel about green energy policies. And although they might be receptive to renewables, they ultimately came away to us telling us that climate policies are a lot more misleading in terms of not delivering on affordability and that effectiveness that they were promised.
And I'm going to jump off that with you, Phil, and say, there are people out there that are reasonable. They look at alternatives and say, long term, they could be a strategy that gets worked in the fold here, but we're not ready for them right now. How do you control the messaging on that and explain to people that right now the president is doing what we need to do, but we're not letting go of the idea that they can be worked in if they become more reliable?
Hey, I'm a markets guy. I would love that, right? But they don't make sense, and the market doesn't support that. But I think if we were going to sell this to America, we have to tell them what Secretary Burgum once said. This is the Manhattan Project of our time. What's happening today has never happened before in the history of the global economy. For the first time ever, we can turn electricity into intelligence, right? And that is just an amazing thing, right? And it's going to power the future because the people that power this technology, it's not just about affordability. That's a big part of it, but it's about controlling our destiny as a country and our children and our grandchildren. Mm-hmm. This is the most exciting time to be alive with this artificial intelligence. We've never seen anything like it. I like to think I lived during a period of time of incredible advancement, and I haven't seen nothing yet, right?
Yeah.
And the kids are going to love this.
And when you talk about America's future and what an important foundation energy is, it's also crucial to our national security. So we're dealing with a lot of issues globally that the president is taking on that others have brushed under the rug. We're dealing with the situation in Venezuela and bringing their oil back online, but having some control over where it goes. Looking at Iran, tensions in the Middle East, not sure exactly how the president will execute on that. But our enemies have gotten together to control a lot of the resources. He is trying to take that power away, Daniel, and I think he's right to do that.
Absolutely. And I think he uses energy, and particularly oil, as this leverage over our adversaries. And that is preferable to saying, well, let's let the bad guys get rich and powerful, like when Joe Biden removed Iran's sanctions. What did they do? They stockpiled hundreds of billions of dollars and they attacked Israel, right? What happened with Russia when President Trump warned them back in 2017, you have to divest from Russia. They all laughed at him. What happened? They invaded Ukraine. So let's get to the point that we prevent that from happening so that we don't then have the world community look at our Iowa farm boys and say, hey, we need you on a battlefield, right? Mm-hmm. We need you to come to the rescue because we've let something bad happen. If we can use oil and energy preemptively and say, let's stop the bad guys from becoming rich and powerful, that's a good thing. I think America's a force for good, so let's use energy as a force for good and stop bad people.
And he is saying, Gabriella, that he's he's a president for peace, and he's using oil as a bargaining chip to a certain degree because he understands that these revenues can afford these countries the ability to disturb the peace globally. I'm really curious to see where this goes now that we've taken the power back, because Joe Biden really handed it right to our adversaries.
Net zero policies weakened us economically, national security-wise, and even environmentally. And to see the Trump administration instead pursue energy abundance, which rewards economic prosperity, which also factors in national security and even conservation efforts, because we want a clean environment. I hunt and fish, so of course I have that interest in mind as someone who works in energy policy. But now other countries have to similarly adopt the same posture that we have adopted here, because it'll make them much more prosperous. It'll make them less reliant on Russia and other adversaries for energy. I'm speaking more specifically to Europe, because the net zero craziness essentially is what made them dependent on Russia.
Yeah.
So it's a double-edged sword.
Phil, final thought.
Yeah, the green energy madness, thank goodness it's coming to an end. I think people are starting to get it. We lost so much valuable time, America, with this green energy scam. It's hurt everybody. It's cost you more money. You're worried about affordability. You can look at that. And I'll tell you this, Jackie screams this all the time, or maybe it was me, it was both of us, common sense is coming back. And this is such an exciting time. And definitely, as Dan would say, it's time to power the future. And this is probably in history, the most important time in energy ever. Forget the Industrial Revolution. That was nothing compared to what's coming.
All right, we're going to leave it there. You all will be back with us a little later on. Thank you so much. Coming up, a major issue still holding back America's energy companies: not enough skilled workers.
And it's drill, baby, drill in Pennsylvania. The shale region is seeing